So, you want to play competitive TF2, do you? Well, hopefully after this video you will be a little bit more comfortable and informed on things that are worth trying or doing or just knowing before you throw yourself into looking for a comp team. The first thing I want to cover in this video is that we, the TF2 community, refer to comp TF2. We're not talking about that version that Valve made, that Valve's comp TF2 that next to nobody's playing. It's not popular with people that actually play comp because of things like no weapon restrictions. You know, depending on which league you go into, there are certain weapons that are banned for being too powerful in comp situations or just downright awful. This is one of many reasons nobody likes playing Valve comp. I'd also like to add that for the full genuine comp experience, you need a microphone. No team will take you on if you can't take part in voice comms. It's just far too vital. You need a microphone. Even a bad microphone is better than no microphone. So the first thing you need before getting into comp is to decide which class you enjoy playing, because for the classes you want to main, you need to learn how to play them, and we refer to this as the meta for the class. This, for me as an engineer, is where to place sentries, where to place dispensers, when to roll back to other locations or roll forward, the significance of teleporters and so on. So for your class, you want to learn to play it and just take your class more serious and less memey in a way. You know, don't treat every casual match like it's the end of the world, but learn how to play the competitive way. Maybe even just watch people play your class in a competitive setting. Now you know what class you want to play, it's now to determine what style of competitive you want to play. Now, the two most common types of competitive types are 9v9 and 6v6. If you want to play engineer, heavy or spy, you are more likely not wanting to play 6v6 and you're going to play 9v9, because in 9v9 it's one of each of the 9 mercs. Now 6v6 is a little bit more confusing. I'm not a 6v6 player, so I'm not 100% informed, but it's a little bit confusing. There aren't any banned classes in 6v6, but the typical team is 2 soldiers, 2 scouts, 1 demo, 1 medic. Now, this isn't exclusively how you play 6v6. You can run it differently if you'd like, but that's the typical team. It's also worth noting that other comp layouts like Prolander, I always call it Pyrolander. Prolander is 7v7. Which is always available to you. There's Ulti-Duo, which is 2v2, but they are tiny leagues compared to the 9v9 and 6v6, and plus, if you're very new, you're probably not wanting to go into those. They're just a little bit more confusing, a little bit less common, but they're always an option for you there if you think you're ready to play something very different. I personally am a 9v9 guy. I find like a lot more fun in general. The games feel a lot more like a team game, whereas when I vaguely played 6v6, it usually just feels like a big team deathmatch. But that's just my view. I'm 100% wrong as usual. Members of my team that have more time on their hands both play 9v9 and 6v6 just to keep them occupied, and because they like to switch it up a little bit, and that's always an option to you if you are that good and you like a class that's in 9v9 and 6v6. Now that you have a class that you like and that you know what type of team size suits you best, what will you do next? Now, on the basis that you're new to comp, I would probably say there's a website called TF2 Center. I know some people will be cringing right now that have competitive experience, but it's true. It's a very well-known, well-used website that I and almost everyone else who plays comp uses. It's a third-party website where you join a lobby, select what team and class you want to play, and when the server fills up, you play. This means that you're only playing on maps that are used for competitive tournaments, and you are playing in Highlander, 6v6 or 2v2 in some cases, with other players that are taking it much more serious compared to your average casual server. I highly recommend taking part in TF2 Center. It's an insanely helpful way of getting used to playing with a team, and if you get really into it and you can even play using voice communication programs called Mumble for the more sweaty lobbies. It's worth getting into, and if you haven't already, I'd definitely consider logging into TF2 Center with your Steam account and giving it a go, getting a couple games under your belt. Now that you know your class, you know what style, and you've maybe got a few TF2 Center games under your belt, you need a team. There are a couple of different leagues that you can go into. I live in Europe, so ETF2L and UGC are the main two. UGC is usable for North American players, but ETF2 isn't. If you are in the EU, there is next to no difference between UGC and ETF2L really, other than a few maps and one uses where the other one wouldn't use it. Honest to God, people will say, I won't play UGC or I won't play ETF2L. There is next to no difference. It's just people whining for the sake of whining. And sometimes one of these leagues will have banned weapons and the other one doesn't. That varies every season. There's also another league that is non-EU, so just North America, which is called RGL, meaning Recharge Gaming League, which is actually founded by the very famous competitive engineer called Sigafu. But like I said, they are just for North American players only. But in general, if you play 6v6, you have RGL, UGC, and ETF2L. And if you are an Australian player for whatever reason, well, because you're Australian, there's also a league called Oz Fortress for 9v9. There is ETF2L, UGC, and RGL. Now, these are all the main leagues that are knocking about these days. There are usually some smaller leagues that pop up every now and then throughout the year, and you know, just for a few seasons, and they are much smaller, but just as fun and much better than, you know, just playing casual. For example, there's one called Casual Comp, which is started by Cool Stuff, which I took part in, despite it being a North American tournament. And there's loads of other little events that go on throughout the year that are worth putting your name down for and getting under your belt, even if it's just for a season. As a new competitive player, you'll be playing in an entry-level division for each league. For UGC, that's known as Steel, and for ETF2L, it's called Open. This might be a little bit too easy for you, which is fine, so finish the season with that entry-level team, then move on to the next tier, which for Steel is, I don't know what it is for UGC, but I know for ETF2L you would go to Open. Do not skip and go to a mid-team just because you can easily, you know, bite off more than you can chew. I've seen it when a few years ago I used to play people who play Open TF2 and then go, oh, I'm better at this, I'm going to skip low and I'm going to go right to mid, and then they don't play competitive anymore and you wonder why. And in general, it's fine. You just need to go down to low. You don't disappoint a mid team and get put off playing competitive forever. Now, each of these leagues has its own website and Discord, and you can use them to find teams looking for people. Likewise, some of these websites let you make posts in recruitment to say you are looking for a team, stating what division, class, team style you want to play. Easy peasy. It varies depending on where you are and what league you want to go in. Just have a look around. Now, I have my own team currently, and there are a few things now that I've learned and I look at before taking on a new player, which we get a lot of applicants because we're still currently open in ETF2L. The first thing that is insanely helpful is a website called logs.tf. Essentially, whenever you play on a server that is set up in a competitive format, such as a TF2 Center game, logs.tf keeps data on how everyone in the server performs and has it on a very simple page to read, where you can see things such as kills, deaths, damage, medic drops, Ubers popped, and loads more. Like, you can get really into logs. Mad helpful, and the more logs that someone has on their account for playing competitive lobbies, the easier it is to determine if someone's a good fit for your team, and if they're consistent with the class that they play. Another thing I like to do is play a TF2 Center game and see how many lobbies they have played on TF2 Center. I, myself, have only recently started taking TF2 Center a bit more seriously and playing it a lot. And, you know, I used to not take comp very seriously, but the amount of TF2 Center lobbies someone has is very, very helpful information when you're trying to determine if they're a serious competitive player or not. Other than that, the biggest challenges to overcome in competitive TF2 are learning your main class, learning the maps that you play in the roster, learning how to use a mic, and cooperating with a team. That's it. Feels like there's a lot more going on than there is, and really there isn't. It's just about mostly communication and learning how to communicate with people. So, you know, try and be friendly with your teammates. Don't be a dick. That's kind of the end message there. Hopefully this has been a little bit helpful for you newer competitive guys. I know that there's probably still loads of people with loads of questions, so comment them down below or head over to my Discord where I'm always answering questions. Links to my Twitch, Twitter and Discord are in the links in the description below. I have been Jay Caliber, and hopefully you've enjoyed this weird style of video. Adios.